There's a point every December when the rush starts catching up with you. You can feel it in your shoulders, in the way you move through the house, in the way you hold your breath without noticing. You're wrapping gifts, finishing projects, cooking meals, checking lists, doing your best to make the season special for everyone else. But somewhere in the middle of all that giving, something subtle happens. You begin to forget yourself. And maybe that's why, every year, I find myself wandering back into the shop. Not to finish a gift, not to meet a deadline, not to check something off, but just to breathe, to pick up a scrap piece of wood and run my hands across the grain, to make something small, something simple, something that just doesn't need to be wrapped or presented or added to the pile. Just something for me. We spend so much of the season thinking about the gifts we give others that we sometimes forget makers need gifts too. Gifts of space, gifts of rest, gifts of something small and handmade that reconnects us to why we love making in the first place. And yes, before we get too far, if you listened to episode 3 and heard me tease the upcoming episode, The Bottle You'll Want to Open in January, you may notice this isn't that episode. We're simply shifting things a bit to match the rhythm of the season. That episode is coming, and honestly, it'll end even more beautifully later in the month. But for today, this felt right. This felt needed. A quiet moment to talk about the gifts we make, not for others, but for ourselves. Welcome back to the Maker's Table. Let's settle into this together. There's a strange pressure in December, even for those of us who love the season. You want to make everything memorable. You want the gifts to be meaningful, the meals to be good, the house to feel warm, the days to feel special. And if you're someone who builds, cooks, or creates, it's easy to slip into the feeling that you owe the season something extra. A little more effort, a little more heart. But somewhere along the way, the act of making becomes the act of performing. You're not building because it brings you joy, you're building because the day is coming and other people are counting on you. And that's when the holiday starts to take more than it gives. So today, we're talking about the kind of gifts that help you bring you back to center. Not gifts you put under the tree, gifts you make to keep your spirit alive. Gifts that remind you that creating is a relationship, not a responsibility. And sometimes, the most generous thing you can do is step away from the rush and make something that stays with you. Sometimes the most grounding projects are the smallest ones. A simple tea light holder, a little cedar block with a whole board into it, a tiny planter made from scraps, a rustic board you oil just for the satisfaction of watching the grain come alive. These aren't gifts you give to impress anyone. There's no dramatic reveal, no, oh wow, you made this moment. These are the kind of projects that remind you that your hands still know how to work without being rushed. That your creativity doesn't only exist for other people, that making can still be play, not obligation. When life feels fast, small projects slow you. They ask almost nothing of you except presence. They don't demand your best, they just invite your attention. And sometimes that's the gift. A moment of remembering why you started building in the first place. There's something deeply healing about stepping outside and lighting a grill or a smoker just for you. No pressure, no deadline, no big holiday meal riding on it. Just the rhythm of heat, smoke, breath, and quiet. During the holidays, outdoor cooking often turns into a production, feeding a crowd, timing everything perfectly, making sure the food stays warm, the sides stay hot, the turkey stays juicy. But today we're flipping that rhythm. We're talking about slow cooking as a gift you give yourself, a pocket of peace inside a crowded season. Maybe it's a small batch of chicken thighs just because the smell brings you comfort. Maybe it's a slow smoked piece of salmon you're not sharing with anyone. Maybe it's a pot of something simple simmering while you're cleaning the house. This kind of cooking doesn't serve the holiday, it serves your heart. It reminds you that nourishment isn't only something you offer others, it's something you're meant to receive too. Every batch of wine I make teaches me something, but the biggest lesson is this: nothing good grows out of pressure. Wine doesn't rush, it doesn't care about the calendar, it doesn't move faster because the holidays are coming. It becomes what it becomes over time without apology. And if there's ever a season when we need that reminder, it's December. The gift winemaking gives back to you is patience, not just with the process, but with yourself. It teaches you that transformation doesn't happen on demand. That rest is part of the work. That quiet seasons have value too. So yes, the episode The Bottle You'll Want to Open in January is coming soon. But maybe this week the real gift is the patience to wait for it, and to give yourself permission to slow down just like the wine does. So here's the question I want to leave you with today. What is one small gift you can make for yourself this week? Not something you need, not something useful, not something you feel obligated to create. Just something that brings you back to yourself. Maybe it's a simple woodblock candle holder. Maybe it's a single loaf of bread baked slowly while you're wrapping gifts. Maybe it's a moment of quiet checking on your wine or cider. Maybe it's something you start and never finish, because the point wasn't the project at all. The point was you. The point was remembering that your maker's heart matters too. That you deserve presence. You deserve rest. You deserve something small and handmade to remind you that you are more than your productivity. Thank you for joining me for this gentle pause in the season. Next week, we'll talk about holding space before the holiday arrives, and then after Christmas, we'll gather again for the episode I teased earlier, the bottle you'll want to open in January. Until then, give yourself one small gift. Your hands deserve it, your heart deserves it, and your season will be softer because of it. Crafted by hand, rooted in home.